Today's video we're going to be reacting to is called The Total Collapse of Katy Perry's Career. Link to the original video down in the description below, as always. And if you like the conversations and discussions we do here on my channel, consider subscribing to your boy. We talk a lot about celebrities, drama, careers, the lack of mine, I guess. But we get engaged in everything pop culture news in the world around us. Without further ado, let's get into it.
Katy Perry has been glitching on stage like a broken animatronic at Chuck E. Cheese. Her recent tour has showcased exceptional choreography like fighting an air conditioning duct with a lightsaber. Her dancing is so bad that she has resorted to just merely running in circles, and I guess if you can call this twerking, then sure, that's what she's doing. And this seems like an extreme fall from grace from the candy-coated pop star that once ruled the entertainment industry. Katy Perry's music was once dominating every award show, every radio station, and every teenager's headphones.
But isn't she like, so I'm gonna put this in here because I want to be fair. Sorry, I'm preparing a water. Isn't she like old now? Does that sound crazy to say? I get called unk all the time and I feel offended. That's probably one of the things that pisses me off the most, I'll be honest. But um isn't she like, I kind of like, I don't really hold the whole being physical and like being able to do choreography very well when you're old. So like, I'm not going to hold that against her. Maybe that's too much of an excuse. Let's watch the rest.
She was bold, confident, and rebellious, everything the 2010s told young women to be. But somewhere along the way, the persona started to crack. Her image and music was built on female self-expression. Then fans found out that this was nothing more than a brand that was carefully crafted by a man, who, by the way, had some serious SA allegations from another beloved pop star. And Katy did not denounce him. She embraced him, which
Well, okay. So that was a big thing, but I think for a lot of people, I'm just going to be honest, it was the idea of her personality to, I don't know if he's going to mention this in here, but her personality of being a Karen started to show. And so you can't really be a strong, independent woman and like freely express and like don't care, lackadaisical about everything, and then also be a Karen. Like it just doesn't really work. Like this stuff didn't really... As crazy as the Me Too stuff was, there was a lot of people still that weren't connected to this information.
Made fans wonder what she truly stands for. Today you will realize that Katy Perry is not just simply being laughed at for a weak performance, her entire manufactured persona is being dismantled, because even from the very beginning, Perry did whatever she could to pander to the masses, starting with her going against her own religious values in hopes of getting a brief moment of universal fame.
Katy Hudson, yes, she was a Christian singer when she first started. I remember this because I used to go to church when I was a kid, and I remember the name Katy Hudson. That's crazy, dude.
Now I know the whole selling your soul to the devil trope is a long-standing conspiracy in Hollywood, and many people see it as a weak and uninformed way to pass off criticism to a celebrity that you no longer like. But for Katy Perry, it's different. She literally started out as a gospel singer, then wholeheartedly admits she sold her soul to the devil when her career was not working out.
I swear I wanted to be like the Amy Grant of music, but it didn't work out, and so I sold my soul to the devil.
Perry was raised in a traveling religious family by Pentecostal pastors, whose job was mainly to set up different churches across the United States. And while the church didn't outright reject all modern songs, they obviously preferred the music that promoted Christian values, which encouraged Perry to get into performing gospel music. She said, "I was raised in a very pseudo-strict religious household where the only thing on the menu was gospel standards like Oh Happy Day, His Eye is on the Sparrow, and Amazing Grace, all 8 verses of it. So the new kids on the block are new to me now. They're not a comeback." I'm like, oh, this is a cool song. Perry dedicated...
Which, I'll be fair, I'm going to also say this. One of the reasons why a lot of singers even start with like gospel songs is because the usage rights, there's less of them. So like you can get away with making your own versions and not getting sued by everybody and their mother in the music industry. So there's actually just a little bit of lore. A lot of musicians start with gospel music because you don't have to pay anybody for it.
Did all her free time to learning how to write songs and play guitar. She often traveled to Nashville where she recorded demos and got the attention of record labels. Noticing the promising young talent, Red Hill Records signed her and assisted in the release of her debut album at age 16. Now, gospel music's religious themes don't align with the broader secular messaging of mainstream pop culture, which limits its mass appeal. So Katy saw poor commercial success with her debut album, and the label shut down prematurely. From there, she had two options: stay true to her values and pursue a gospel career even though it would likely not result in money or fame, or go against her values and do whatever it took to become a pop sensation. She chose the latter and moved to California, where she admits that it changed her. Katy successfully rebranded herself when she signed with Capitol Records and released I Kissed a Girl.
This song, I don't care who you are, is a freaking banger. I'm not a Katy Perry stan, but this song, all the guys and the girls were singing this song. It was just so good. I don't know if he's going to play it because I don't want to get copyright. I'm actually scared of it. But it's really, really good.
Provocative pop anthem telling the story of a young woman who experiments with her sexuality. Katy was reasonably anxious about the song's release, not because she didn't think it would be a success, but because this totally went against her religious values and she wasn't sure how this would affect her family life. After convincing her sister to break the news to her Pentecostal parents, the response wasn't entirely positive. They weren't mad, however, they were concerned that this was a sign that Perry was losing her way. On the Call Her Daddy podcast, Perry explained that she wasn't rejecting her parents' traditional values necessarily.
Does her fucking shirt have a nipple piercing in it? See, it's the little things like this that just kind of like, it's kind of like cringe. Is that just me? I think that's kind of why, like, some of these celebrities, you just feel like they're trying too hard, and it's like, it's worse when you keep trying that hard, you know?
But she was discovering that the world is a mixed bag, full of different cultures and beliefs that she had never explored. She said, "I met different people and I'm like, oh, you're not a bad person. I grew up thinking you were this way. I was taught this way. So I saw more humanity. And then even traveling around the world once I had my success, I was like, whoa, these cultures believe in this, and this is how they work." Perry experienced that the world wasn't just black and white, that it's important to have an open mind and treat all backgrounds and ideologies with respect. But this also revealed something interesting about the new pop artist. Perry's own values basically changed overnight. If she's able to change her worldview that fast, what's stopping her from changing whenever a new opportunity comes along that fits her needs? And shape-shifting her values would ultimately be the demise of her career. However, she was about to become an absolute sin.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just like, we'll watch the rest of this video, obviously, but like, I just feel like when it comes to musicians, I don't really care that much. Like, as long as the music's good, that's all that matters. Now, if they change the persona and the music's just straight up dog water after that, I understand that. But the artist should always be prioritizing what's the best music possible they can make. Now, I understand the music business is more complicated than that, but if you're delivering a product, the product should be the priority at the end of the day. Now you could argue, oh, the persona is the product, sure, but like the example I give is, say, for example, K-pop. I've been listening to a lot of K-pop. The structure of K-pop is all the same. It's going to sound kind of harsh, but it's true. Not the music, but like the bands, the groups, the marketing, everything across the board. They have like, it's almost like a checklist or an algorithm on what they do to make a K-pop band. That doesn't mean that necessarily they're going to be successful, though. They can check all these boxes and do everything that would be technically marketable for a K-pop band. But what makes their success is the music. Like, you could do all these other things, but at the end of the day, like, there's so many K-pop bands. The only ones that are successful are the ones that have good music. So I apply that same rule to Katy Perry. Like, she's more of an individual, obviously, but if you look at something more structured, more like checklisty, like K-pop, they still have good music, regardless. Or the good bands, right? Obviously, there's some that are not, but we don't want to get into that. But that's what I'm saying. Like, the music should always be good, regardless of the brand.
Sensation, and her so-called deal with the devil was about to pay off. Perry's first mainstream pop album, One of the Boys, placed a spotlight on her budding career, but Teenage Dream helped establish her as a dominant force in mainstream pop.
that was the album. People say that was the album that really took off.
Project produced a record-tying 5 #1 singles on the Billboard Hot 100,
Yep.
including California Girls, Teenage Dream, Firework, E.T., and Last Friday Night, making her the first woman in history to achieve that feat. Her sound seemed meticulously crafted for radio success, thanks in part to her team of talented writers and producers. At the same time, it still felt fresh and original. The album earned Perry 7 Grammy Award nominations, including Album of the Year, Best Pop Vocal Album, and Record of the Year. Teenage Dream did not just top the charts, it became the soundtrack of a whole generation's lives. Her music
It was just music that was good to listen to. Like it just was so good. I always make the meme of it's Friday night. I don't want to get copyrighted, but TGIF, right? It's a saying, but the fact that it no one had capitalized on that, which is crazy, but also it's like it really felt like you could apply that and enjoy it. I still enjoy that song to this day. It's kind of crazy.
was being piped into county fairs, amusement parks, restaurants, and anywhere else you could think of. You couldn't walk outside or turn on the radio without hearing her latest hit, and soon, Katy's face became as recognizable as her voice. She appeared at award shows, made guest appearances on Sesame Street, The Simpsons, and Saturday Night Live, and embarked on a world tour that earned $59.5 million globally. And all of this success was quickly making her a potential face for women empowerment. In fact, in 2012, Billboard named Perry as their Woman of the Year. She was celebrated as a girl boss, feminist icon simply for being a successful woman who embraced her sexuality on stage. Back then, feminism in pop culture didn't require deep political activism. Being confident, glamorous, and
Man, simpler times, right? Simpler times.
in control of your image was enough. By today's standards, this version of feminism is often seen as surface level, lacking the social awareness and advocacy now expected from public figures, which could be why her next album, Prism, contained a little more girl boss undertones, and in some respects, it paid off, showing her growth as an artist.
Again, not to defend her, but it was still a good album. Like I don't understand. Like okay, so I understand what he's saying. Like there's girl boss undertones, but the music was still good. So no one cared.
While still delivering the kind of catchy, accessible pop music that everyone came to adore. The lead single, Roar, debuted at number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100.
Oh my god, jump scare says 11 years ago. Watch out, y'all. The jump scare.
And sold millions of copies worldwide, becoming one of her best-selling singles of all time. Other tracks like Unconditionally and Dark Horse still delivered on people's expectations. These tracks weren't just popular, these tracks were inescapable, helping her launch her next big project, the Prismatic World Tour. The tour earned nearly quadruple its predecessor, with Mark Sutherland of Rolling Stone reacting to it positively, calling it loud, garish, camp, and never less than uproariously entertaining, and a show to damage retinas and blow minds. Despite attaining mainstream success just 5 years earlier, Katy Perry's catalog was respectable enough that she was invited to perform at the Super Bowl.
Dang, I remember her performing at the Super Bowl, but I didn't even realize, because I was a kid at that time, I didn't even realize that she got a Super Bowl performance that early into her career. That's actually kind of crazy. You know what? It's better I'm glad she performed then, because if she tried to perform now, it would be embarrassing.
Katy's halftime performance garnered 118.5 million viewers in the United States, becoming the most watched and highest rated show in Super Bowl history, surpassing Michael Jackson and Beyonce. The viewership was even higher than the game itself, which was viewed by an audience of 114.5 million. At the time, nobody could have imagined pop music without Katy Perry. However, her momentum began to slow a little bit with the release of Chained to the Rhythm, which many described as an awkward attempt at blending pop with political commentary. This was the first sign that Perry was on a different path.
Also, the song was not very good. And then what happened, I think it's what happened. Okay, so it was okay. It was an okay song, but what happened was it felt very forced. Like it felt like radio stations and everywhere were playing it. And so because it wasn't that great compared to her other songs, it like immediately became annoying. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, 'cause it's being blasted everywhere. Again, Back to the music, man.
Now, being appreciated solely for her work wasn't enough anymore. She wanted to be an activist, to become an idol for feminism in a postmodern age. But what she didn't realize is being the political pop star is a tall order to fulfill. And as social media became more popular, celebrities can't control their narratives as much anymore. If you don't practice what you preach, you will be exposed. And that damage to your reputation might be too big to repair. Katy Perry spent a considerable amount of time
Pokemon go to the polls. Yes.
assisting Hillary Clinton on the 2016 presidential campaign trail. She performed at the DNC, made multiple public appearances alongside Clinton, and encouraged her fans to elect the first female president.
I admire so many things about Hilly C.
This is the awkward part, is like it's funny because like back then I guess it wasn't really a big deal, but it is after Kamala Harris spent like $1 billion on her campaign, which is insane. We now realize that even these endorsements weren't genuine. They were getting paid. Like, I wonder if anyone's ever looked into how much she got paid for that endorsement. I bet it was a lot because she was still kind of in her prime. So, you know.
And I agree with many of her informed, educated policies. I think Hillary recognizes all of our voices, and she hears us, she sees us, and she knows that we're stronger together.
Unsurprisingly, her music delved deeper into these political undertones, like these lyrics in Chained to the Rhythm. Are we crazy, living our lives through a lens, trapped in our white picket fence, like ornaments, so comfortable, we're living in a bubble, so comfortable we cannot see the trouble? Suggesting that many people are content living in ignorance, shielded from the consequences of political and social issues. The song criticizes how society chooses to distract itself, using entertainment and media to numb or avoid uncomfortable truths.
So, what's wrong with that? That's what I don't understand with like this is where I think gaming really messed up. Like they started hiring a bunch of DEI activists who don't actually know how to entertain people and really understand that if I wanted to be lectured to, I would go back to college. If I wanted to enjoy an afternoon watching a movie or King of the Hill on TV, I'll just subscribe to Hulu and watch it. Like it's people just want to relax. People don't need to be lectured to all the time. Did I feel that with their song? Not necessarily, but it's because again, it wasn't that good. So, but yes, it was being blasted. I also there's like activist fatigue is when this was all happening.
The idea being a metaphor for how people unknowingly submit to systems that keep them from engaging with reality. Already, this is too much explanation for a Katy Perry song, and perfectly demonstrates why casual listeners were shocked and confused. The beauty of Katy Perry's music was its ability to distract people from their everyday lives, not talk about the economic and political state of the world. Katy struggled to present herself as socially conscious to her broader audience without seeming out of touch or opportunistic, especially considering her follow-up singles like Bon Appetit and Swish Swish.
Oh my god. The care and then she got the Karen haircut and then started doing all these TikTok dances. But also like the thing about it is like a lot of you guys are from outside the US, so the thing about the left too, this is also there are issues with the right. Maybe we'll find a video where some artists get basically ruined by right-wing activists. But the thing about the left-wing activists in America is they have a tendency of what's called eating their own. It's where like they always push the line, and if you aren't agreeing with every single thing that they say, then they consume you, they destroy you. And so it's like this Ouroboros, so snake that always eats its tail. That's the left-wing party. So even when somebody is like in the good graces of them for the time being, all it takes is one afternoon for them to, oh, you didn't have all the exact points that I had. Let's cancel you and ruin your career. Whereas like the right side, you know what? I might as well put this in here. Whereas the right, the extreme right in America, what they'll do is the thing about the left is they try to cancel you and ruin your life online because they don't really have buying power. They don't know how to manage their money. Whereas like the Republican side, like the super far right, they have a lot of higher like buying power because they actually are technically more fiscally responsible. So what they'll do is they'll boycott you. Even if they're misinformed, they'll boycott you and they will really hurt your wallet. And so that's like the one will try to ruin your life and ruin your career, whereas the other one will just not engage with you. Still ruin your income, but it's just two different feelings. Does that make sense?
Opportunistic, especially considering her follow-up singles like Bon Appetit and Swish Swish were rather shallow. According to Cosmopolitan magazine, Bon Appetit was one big metaphor for sex, while Swish Swish was the requisite Taylor Swift diss track. But her transformation was truly realized with her shaving her head. Throughout her entire career, Katy Perry sported a classic American pinup girl aesthetic, which is often criticized as a fantasy catered to male desire or the male gaze. Her buzz cut was a sharp rejection of that image. It aligned with a more modern version of femininity, one
that Miley Cyrus also had too, which is like the Karen haircuts
that values self-definition over male approval. And this was all a part of her 2017 album rollout, Witness, which was her lowest performing album commercially and critically agreed upon as being her worst album to date. Perry was now completely concerned. If she was too progressive, she pushed away her larger audience. If she tried going back to her roots, it would also seem outdated and out of touch. It was kind of a damned if she does, damned if she doesn't situation.
Damn, almost as if you can never please anybody if you try to pander to everyone. And grown-ass adults still haven't figured it out yet.
However, the real reason Katy Perry was having such a difficult time understanding her fan base is because, well, her best music didn't exactly come from her heart. That credit belongs to her problematic producer and songwriter Dr. Luke, who is responsible for creating the Katy Perry that fans fell in love with. Katy's Witness album was missing contributions from Dr. Luke, which is likely why fans didn't connect with it as much. In the past, the producer played a significant role in shaping Perry's career, co-writing and producing I Kissed a Girl and Hot and Cold, two of her breakout singles from One of the Boys. The catchy songwriting and strong pop production saved the dying career.
When you're hot and you're cold and you're... Oh man, such a good ass song. Hey, but you know what? If the writer's the writer, you better, you gotta separate the crimes from the writer and appreciate the talent that they have. Because if you need it to make money, hey man, hey. If they holding up my career, fuck it. I'm gonna pretend like I don't see it.
Of a failed gospel artist. History repeated itself when the pair collaborated on Teenage Dream, where Dr. Luke was responsible for writing and producing California Girls, E.T., Last Friday Night, and The One That Got Away. On Prism, Dr. Luke is credited on almost every song, from pop anthems like Roar and This Is How We Do, to power ballads and hip-hop infused tracks like Unconditionally and Dark Horse. It wouldn't be a stretch to credit Dr. Luke with Katy Perry's success. I'm not saying she isn't capable of writing her own music, but there is a clear trend between her biggest records and Luke. Although she was the voice heard on every track and barred the aesthetic that the fans loved, Dr. Luke wrote the key lyrics that the listeners connected with. His vision for each song, deciding what story would be told, and what kind of emotion the listener should feel led to a record-breaking career for...
He just understood what the fans wanted and what the songs mean to them. He was more in tune with the fans than Katy Perry. That's literally what it was.
Katy Perry. However, Dr. Luke was facing serious allegations of SA from another pop star, Kesha, and Katy Perry's attempt at a balanced or neutral response was seriously destructive. In 2014, Dr. Luke gained widespread media attention after Kesha filed a lawsuit against him. She accused Dr. Luke of physical and emotional abuse over the course of several years, starting when she was just 18 years old. Kesha also sought to be released from her recording contract with Kimosabe Records. Her legal team argued that her contract with Dr. Luke's label was oppressive and that being forced to work with her alleged abuser was causing irreparable harm to her career and well-being. The case gained significant public support for Kesha, with many fans, fellow artists, and advocacy groups rallying behind her under the hashtag #FreeKesha. Although Dr. Luke denied all allegations and filed a defamation lawsuit against Kesha, the court of public opinion had already come to a guilty verdict. Any artist collaborating with the disgraced songwriter became public enemy number one. Katy tried to stay radio silent on
Now, we did find out that a lot of these artists, not just her, but other artists are starting to do stuff like this so they can get, because they started making more money. They wanted to get out of the contracts with their labels because they wanted to make even more money. Because I'll be honest, I don't know if I would do that, but I know labels take a lot of money, big ass cut. And depending if they got a shitty ass contract, maybe somebody maybe it's not surprising that some of these people are just doing that to get out of their contracts. But I'm not saying that again. Some of these were real, but there was others that taking advantage of the opportunity, if that makes sense.
The matter, but in late 2017, she was subpoenaed to provide a deposition in Kesha's lawsuit against Dr. Luke. In the deposition, Perry explicitly denied ever being R-worded, drugged, or assaulted by Dr. Luke. She went on to explain why she never said anything publicly. I want to stay out of it because I know them both, and I empathize with both of them, and obviously it's a horrible situation for both of them. And the only two people that know what really went on are those two people. She also expressed feeling pressured to support Kesha because she personally knew both people involved.
Which I think honestly is a good take. Just fucking stay out of it. If they're the only two people that know what happened, why would you put yourself in a position where you're gonna lose? Not that it's saying like you got to be selfish, but at the same time, it's like it just doesn't make any sense. Like why? Because again, Kesha could be lying in the same way that that guy could be lying. So like it's just doesn't make any sense.
People were generally very angry at me for not saying anything. She said she was annoyed with both of them, and she decided to stop working with Dr. Luke because she didn't want to seem like she was picking a side. And while Perry thought she was playing it safe, both fans and critics saw cowardice. She had now spent years fighting for progressive ideals and trying to become a leading voice that empowers women, only to be seen as a hypocrite for not unapologetically calling out an alleged
God, that haircut's so awful. But yes, I agree. I mean, it's the hypocrisy, right? Like I'm not trying to sweep that away. Like it is absolutely correct. He is right. It's the like the follow this immediately happening after her campaigning for women for Hillary. Oh man.
assailant. As if it couldn't get any worse for her, she exhibited behavior on national television that many interpreted as predatory. In 2018, 19-year-old Benjamin Glaze auditioned for American Idol in hopes of pursuing a music career. After mentioning how his job at an electronics store gave him access to cute girls, Judge Luke Bryan asked Benjamin if he had ever kissed a girl and liked it, a reference to Katy Perry's song, I Kissed a Girl. The flustered teenager innocently said no, revealing how he'd never been in a relationship. A stunned Katy Perry instantly demanded Benjamin to come here right now and kiss her on the cheek. After she deemed the first kiss was not satisfying enough, she instructed him to kiss her again, but turned around at the last second and kissed him on the lips.
Now, okay. Some people might, I don't know if I'm not going to defend her, but there is, you know, people do things for TV and shit like that. So I'm not going to overreact. Now, if he says later on that, yeah, he didn't have consent for this, then that's kind of weird. But it would be weird if the producers didn't do that. But then again, I guess it's American Idol, so who knows?
The judges then high-fived one another, seemingly proud that their co-star deceived a barely legal teen. There was an immense amount of backlash, and many people noted that if the genders were reversed, this would be an entirely different
It should have been me. That's the problem.
situation. However, Benjamin defended Perry, stating that although he was uncomfortable because he wanted his first kiss to be special, he was not complaining about the kiss at all. But don't spend any energy feeling bad for Benjamin. After all, he was recently arrested for having over 700 images and videos of CP.
What the fuck just... Yo, what is this turn, bro? No, that's crazy. So she kissed a predator, is what you're telling me. That's not, what the hell is this? What the fuck?
And while people could have marked this situation as a one-off incident, Perry's interaction with Benjamin caused a video to resurface from 2012 where a 28-year-old Perry groped an 18-year-old Justin Bieber, further showcasing a pattern of creepiness from the...
Well, I mean, a lot of people were doing that to Justin. Poor Justin. I still feel bad. And we covered him on my channel. I stopped covering him because I felt like I'm a fan of this guy. I don't want to keep feeding into the psychosis. Um, Not the psychosis, but the I don't know. There's just like a weird thing going on right now online around him, and so I just don't want to get involved with that.
Singer towards younger boys. However, nobody ever complained about Perry's behavior since teenage boys are expected to enjoy attention from older women. And this all revealed another possible layer in Perry's character, separating who she claimed to be and who she actually was. Even longtime fans at this point started to be increasingly skeptical, feeling like she was just another part of the evil Hollywood machine. But it was just going to keep getting worse for Perry. Without the help of the experts to improve her work, her music was in serious trouble. After suffering the first huge series of losses in her career, Perry attempted to course correct with Smile, where she withdrew from political activism and reflected more on her personal struggles. Despite diving into a new territory and embracing a retro pop aesthetic, the project didn't match the boldness, originality, or self-determination of her earlier hits. Where Witness failed by trying too hard to be meaningful, Smile failed by not trying hard enough to be impactful. And because of that,
Or just good. Like, just, I hate to say it, but just good. Some people are just, they just, I don't understand. Like, I see what he's saying, and it's all 100% valid. And I know I keep repeating this point, but I think I need to bring it up again. Sometimes, and I'm going to say it in this form, and I think this is a good comparison. When athletes get older, we all come to the unanimous agreements that, okay, yeah, they're not going to be as great as they used to be. It's not necessarily we see them any less great. We just understand that they're like over time, like their body physically, even if they wanted to be better, they physically can't. I think we should have the start set having the same standard with musicians, not necessarily in the sense that they're getting old, but they're just at some point they're going to fall off. Which is fine because it makes room for new artists like Sabrina Carpenter to save us all.
it was another decrease in commercial performance, and yet again perceived as her worst album to date.
I feel pretty confident in saying that this is Katy Perry's weakest album to date.
After
You got the weakest hairline to date, boy. Sorry. I hate that guy. I'm just kidding. I don't really care for Fantino. Right? Is that his name? I don't even remember.
Smile was described as dull and unadventurous, she seemingly took a step back from music, only releasing a couple of singles and remaining relatively out of the spotlight. And with the early 2020s seeing a plethora of other pop stars to choose from, such as Dua Lipa, Tate McRae, Tyla, Olivia Rodrigo, Charli XCX, Chappell Roan, Sabrina Carpenter, pop music fans just don't need Katy Perry anymore. And
the competition got tough, and all of them were really talented in their own way. So, yeah, they all had their own spice to give.
while it might have stung to go out on a massive L after Smile, she would have still been considered an undisputed pop legend. But instead, she's making the mistake of trying to compete with the incredible wave of emerging pop stars. And sadly, she's just embarrassing herself. After announcing her exit from the American Idol judges panel, Katy reconnected with these same producers who crafted Teenage Dream, in hopes that lightning could strike twice. The team included Max Martin, Stargate, and controversially, Dr. Luke. These men were tasked with helping breathe new life into her dying career as they attempted to recreate the magic of an album that came out nearly 2 decades ago. Perry's upcoming album, 143, was
I would have just, I'm gonna be honest, I would have just retired. Like, I'll never understand that. Like, once the money's good, retire when you're on top. It's like, you can only go down from there.
described as super high energy and filled with pop and dance pop hits that remind people why Katy Perry is one of the highest selling artists of all time. However, the release of this album's lead single, Woman's World, caused smiles to fade as Perry's attempt to deliver a feminist anthem fell short. Perry's take on feminism in 2024 was wildly outdated. It was as if a group of men came up with the idea of what a feminist anthem should look and sound like. That's exactly what happened.
Girl boss! You can do it. You go, girl! You were born to shine. And with this set, it's like, ooh, we're not about the male gaze, but we really are about the male gaze. And we're really overplaying it and on the nose because I'm about to get smashed, which is like a reset, and a reset for my idea of feminine divine.
Laura Snapes of The Guardian gave Woman's World 1 star out of 5, describing it as
But were people mad? Were review bombing it because they were mad, or because it was actually hot garbage? I'll be honest, I haven't heard that album.
garbage. Pitchfork called the track unfathomably tepid, while criticizing the hypocrisy of Dr. Luke's involvement. Many people echoed this exact criticism, wondering how Perry could produce a song suggesting she stood beside all women while in the studio with a man accused of using his power as a man in the industry to take advantage of a young female artist. 143 absolutely bombed commercially and had 2 other singles that many are not even aware of because they didn't chart. The project as a whole received overwhelmingly negative reviews, largely due to outdated production and uninspired songwriting. It was so bad that critics speculated whether artificial intelligence was used in the process of
Yo, maybe that's what it was. Yo. No way. Did she go to the AI? Because, like, I haven't heard a Katy Perry song in forever. And I wonder if it's because of this. That's actually kind of crazy.
making the album.
The entire rollout has been mystifying and perplexing to me. In interviews, she's just completely skipping over the fact that everybody hated Woman's World and that everybody's mad at her for working with Dr. Luke. She couldn't even intelligently defend herself with that one. She said, I just wanted to, so I did, and I don't think it's a big deal. Huge miscalculation. And look what it led to, karma. Karma has come to collect its return.
And while literally...
But I think, but the thing is, it's like, is she being review bombed because people are just offended, right? And I guess that's the reviewer's right, but it's like you should be judging the music. But then again, it was probably garbage because I haven't heard any of it.
Really, nobody was falling for this idea that Katy Perry was the leader of the feminist movement. She was still trying to stick to the female empowerment message that she had failed to execute for years and years and years. But she once again tried by promoting a Blue Origin space launch program organized by owner and CEO Jeff Bezos and his team of engineers. The idea was to show a team of modern women who played a role in a new mode of space travel.
One by one, they ring a bell. Gail, who has a fear of flying, looks terrified. The all-woman crew joined hands in prayer. Then it's time to climb into the capsule.
And immediately, nobody was falling for this marketing stunt. From the ceremonial bell ringing to how the group started calling themselves astronauts.
That part was crazy. That part was ridiculous. I'll be honest. That part really actually offended me. Even though like I'm not an astronaut, nor will I ever be smart enough to be. I was like, this is actually kind of crazy. Also, shout outs to, if you don't know this woman on the left right here, I think that's Jeff Bezos' new wife after cheating on his old wife and making his ex-wife a billionaire.
The optics were terrible, and fans didn't hold back. They aren't crew, they aren't astronauts, they're rich chicks who paid a hefty sum to subsidize Blue Origin. The first all-female spaceflight was Valentina Tereshkova in 1963. Don't let them erase our history for cringe billionaire PR. The supposed first all-female astronaut team was like living satire to the average person. They were only in space for a few minutes, and while they were there, none of them were controlling the machinery to make this possible. It also didn't help that Katy Perry spent most of her time promoting her upcoming tour instead of experiencing a miracle of modern engineering.
And she was looking at the camera the whole fucking time. It's like, girl, you need to be this is you're supposed to be looking out. This is an extraordinary opportunity.
In the moment, this is beyond tone deaf. I went on a Carnival cruise the other day. I am now an explorer. Even comedians like Tim Dillon couldn't help but make fun of the obvious publicity stunt, pointing out that Perry and the other women involved didn't seem to understand that making this news was the worst possible decision.
And singing Imagine, but we're all here. These people should have just quietly done this. How cool, because by the way, no one would hate you. You would have went to space, it would have been fun, and then no one would have hated you. Everyone hates you now. All you had to do was keep your mouth shut about a cool, rich thing you did, while the economy, by the way, the economy is crumbling. I mean, I don't know how else to say it.
And as if Katy Perry's public relations couldn't get any...
It's perfect. Yeah, it literally, they could have made it so cool at just being like, yo, like, look at this beautiful planet that we live on. But instead, it's like, no, let me spend the whole time looking at the camera and trying to entertain. When it's like, you're supposed to be in space, not you're in space, not a streamer. Like, stop.
Worse, she embarked on her Lifetimes tour, which has become an absolute disaster, with footage from the tour showing Perry performing mostly low-effort, cringeworthy choreography that doesn't match the same aesthetic advertised on the album. Onlookers like Joe Vito commented on Perry's unimpressive middle school musical level choreography.
How does she not have money for a tour? Excuse me. Like, I actually think that's like actually unironically, like, how does that even work? You can get people to invest in your tour, or like, you should be a millionaire by now. You should be able to fund this. Like, I don't know. I'm kind of weirded out by her not having a budget.
And said that Perry's tour didn't hold a candle to pop artists like Lady Gaga and Taylor Swift. Perry seems to be going through some sort of celebrity midlife crisis. Now at 40 years old, she is aggressively twerking on...
So she's not that old. She's only 40. She just needs to hey, do a residency in Vegas. Just perform there. I'll come see you.
Stage, falling into splits in hopes of recapturing her youth. She kind of just looks lost up there. It's like a woman who has pandered so many different ways that she looks absolutely confused on stage, just doing literally anything to make a spectacle because being a jester is the last chance she has at remaining relevant. Now, if this were an isolated incident, people would probably laugh and move on. But night after night, Katy's tour performances keep getting worse, and she's figured out a way to turn herself into a joke consistently in the past year. She's become the kind of person that many just love to hate, and for a...
She's become a lolcow. Oh my god. Is she a celebrity lolcow? Like a non-internet lolcow? Dude, just retire. Just retire. There's no way. I think that's a fate worse than death. Because being an internet lolcow, at least people are like self-aware enough to know that you're a lolcow, right? And so they don't take you too serious. Thus, you can actually make money and kind of play into it. But a celebrity, like IRL non-internet person, like Katy Perry, becoming a IRL lolcow that's not like an internet Andy, yo, that's wild. That's crazy. That's no. The queen of pop music for a long time becomes a lolcow. No.
Pop star, this is the kind of trap that is nearly impossible to escape. Katy Perry's story is a classic case of stand for nothing and you'll fall for anything. It may seem like she's being overly criticized for some silly dance moves and taking a 5-minute trip to space, but this is because of her long history of political pandering, virtue signaling, and not standing for those morals that she claimed to have. Nobody actually knows who Katy Perry is supposed to be, and the most interesting part about all of this is that if her new music was good, most people wouldn't care about all the drama. Unfortunately, she seems to have lost her touch in the studio, or lost her resources. And with other great pop stars dominating today, it's hard to see what value Katy Perry brings to pop music in 2025.
I honestly think the point when he's like, it's probably because her music was written by AI. I don't want to be that guy, but I really think that's what's going on. I wouldn't be surprised that somebody's finessing her for her money and just using ChatGPT to write her music. Because oh my god, like how do you go from that high to having no motion after that? That just doesn't make any sense to me. But let me know what you think in the comments down below. Was I defending Katy Perry too hard? Can I fix her? I think I can. Katy Perry, if you watch this video, reach out to me. I can fix you. But first, I kissed the girl and I kissed. This video is brought to you actually by viewers like you. Thank you so much for subscribing and being part of my journey and allowing me to be a part of yours. Let's create new memories this 2025 on our road to 1 million subscribers. And with all that jazz out of the way, I just want to say thank you so much. I love y'all and enjoy the video.